A Podcast One production.
Hello and welcome to The Mentor. I'm Mark Bouris. Now, our guest this week is someone who has changed the game for digital marketing in Australia, and his name is Sabri Suby. And since launching his digital marketing agency, by the way, it's called King Kong, what a great name, at the age of 27, he is now on track to turn over $18 million this year per annum. The secret? Sabri promises his clients results, which means, and I love this, if his staff don't hit their KPIs, the client's KPIs, that is you, the client, your KPIs, then Sabri does not get paid. And they have to work for free until they hit you, the client's KPIs, your key performance indicators. You set the indicators. If he doesn't get there, he doesn't get paid. I'm going to ask Sabri about why he introduced this unique performance guarantee structure, what you should be looking for when building a digital marketing strategy for your own business, and how Sabri's entrepreneurial journey all started as a kid growing up in Byron Bay, grinding peanuts for some extra cash for his single mum. A lifetime of trying to be a helper. So let's get into it. Sabri, welcome to The Mentor.
Thanks for having me on.
So do you still live in Byron or you're living down here these days?
I actually live in Melbourne.
You live in Melbourne these days. So you grew up in Byron?
Yep, grew up in Byron Bay till I was like 17 years old, and then I moved over to London for a couple of years.
So but you're Sabri Suby, what is it, an Arabic name?
Yep.
But your parents, both parents Arabic?
No, actually I'm a big mix. So like my mum's half Scottish, half Irish, but Aussie. And my dad is Sri Lankan, Syrian, Egyptian, Lebanese, French.
Wow.
So I'm a mongrel.
But that's pretty unusual for... Was your dad born here?
I was born in Sydney.
Your dad.
My dad, he was.
Yeah, okay. So, but why did they move to Byron? Like, I mean, that's sort of... How many years ago were we talking about that?
Yeah, so basically my mum was living in Sydney and she was a legal secretary, and she found a school that she wanted to send us to, and she looked at, it was a Steiner school, and she looked at the fees for places in Sydney, and they were far too expensive, so she started to look around Australia at other places, and found out there was one in Byron Bay, and just thought, look, I'm gonna make this plunge. I'm going to do what's best for my kids. I'm going to move up to Byron.
So how old were you when you moved to Byron?
I was 4.
So you went to the Steiner School. That's at the bottom of Gettinger's Lane there, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I know the joint.
Okay.
It's still there because it's about half a kilometre from the bottom of my farm up there.
Okay.
The Gettinger's Lane. It's at the bottom of John Cornell's joint.
Yeah, exactly.
And Corny's 3 neighbours away from me. And next door to him is another great mate of mine, David Gingell. So it's Corny Gingell and then another bloke, then me. And the Steiner School, so that sort of tells me something straight up about your mum. Is it your mum driving this, I guess?
Yeah.
Steiner School was a bit out there to send your kids to. Like, it's a bit unusual.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how people look at it that like
it's not really, but it was considered then to be.
Yeah. And definitely growing up, you get some shit like, oh, you guys are just drawing rainbows and like finger paintings and stuff like that. It's definitely seen as a little bit out there.
But explain what the Steiner School is, like, or what are they? How do they teach? What's the methodology?
Sure. Well, like it's obviously founded by a guy called Rudolf Steiner, and it's there's a whole lot that goes into it. But in broad brushstrokes, they kind of believe that children grow up in like 7-year cycles, and they believe for like the first 7 years of a child's life, like they shouldn't be watching television and shouldn't be really doing a lot of things that are like heavily academic because it limits the creative mind. So that's essentially like, I guess it's fundamentals of like what it's based on. It's not like very, very strong on academics, at least not in the first 7 years. And
7 years of school, you mean from 4 to 11, or are you talking about
so they believe like first to 7, then 7 to 14, and then 14 to 21. Like they believe that they're kind of very grounding principles in terms of like the cycle of how people need to be educated. So that's really like they are definitely more on pushing creativity and developing that creative side of your mind, for the first 7 and then the first 14 years of your life.
What does that mean though? Like creative, what sort of things do they encourage? Or
so instead of doing like, hardcore mathematics or algebra, like we were learning things about like the Roman Empire and about the Egyptians and looking at like all of those kind of things.
Yeah, and I guess art would come into it.
Yep, definitely art, painting, drawing,
sculpture.
Yep.
And in terms of being creative, I mean, do they go as far as, kidpreneur style things, like, maybe going back then that wasn't something that was happening, but did they sort of get you to say, well, Sabri, go open up a lemon juice store, and sell lemon cordial or something, make it yourself? Do they go down that
No,
track?
they don't really. Their whole thing is kind of like unguided. So it's not really about like, telling the children what to do, but seeing like what is like growing inside of them and then fostering them so much. So not like, hey, go start a lemon juice store, but they can see if you're naturally gravitating towards something, is just like supporting that and helping that grow.
Right, that's interesting. And were all the kids did you go right through to HSC? Or?
I did, yeah.
So you went through there till 18 or whatever it is. So did all the kids, do you remember, is your memory of all the kids and boys and girls and teenagers, were they all creative types? Like over time, did you?
No, like some of the guys in my class went on to be bankers over in Hong Kong and do things that are very academic. So it's not like we all get pigeonholed into kind of being like creative, or we go off and do arts degrees or anything like that. There's people that, are investment bankers and all kinds of things that come off the back of that.
Yeah, so, I've only ever met one other person who went to the Steiner School, a Steiner School. They're all over the country, aren't they? They're these days.
Yep.
But what do you think you got out of that contributes to your business life today?
I think that like having, an environment that wasn't so heavily drilled into like, you've got to get fantastic grades so you can go to university, and then you've got to get great grades at university so you can go work in a corporate job. I think that if I would have come from a background like that, I would probably be less financially motivated, or even just less motivated in general. I think the fact that, I grew up in a small beach town from a single parent mother and watched her hold down 3 jobs, and then got put into another environment where it was like kind of, essentially whatever it is that you want to do, that's what you want to focus on. And I feel that was, you typically gravitate towards things that weren't pushed on you as a child, I believe. And because those things weren't pushed on me, it was something that I seeked out myself. And that hunger was like grown organically from myself, rather than like, my environment pushing that on me, or a teacher pushing that on me, or even my parents pushing that on me. It's something that's like fueled within me to go out and get that.
It's because it's sort of interesting. I've had a lot of exposure to people from Byron Bay, and most people who I know who grew up in Byron Bay, and not so much today's generation, but going back, what are you, 30, 35?
You're 34.
Okay, so going back 30 years ago, most of the people who come out of those environments, particularly if they went to Steiner School, and if they weren't in town, they're a little bit just, that was considered out of town then, tend to be not hippie, probably not a good word, because one of the things that attracts me about the place, to be frank with you, it's a bit alternative. People are prepared to try different things, do different things. It doesn't mean they're all walking around with a joint hanging out of their mouth, or becoming beekeepers, even though I do have bees on my property, but I won't admit to having something hanging out of my mouth. But there's something different that must have been existing in your environment, maybe it was your mum, that sort of made you turn yourself into a business person. Like, not that many people out of Byron in those days end up becoming business people. Today there's lots, not back then. And you did go to the Steiner School. So what was it? Is it I'm trying to work out, what was it? Was the schooling that motivated you, or that shaped you, or was it something genetically in you that shaped you, or was it your social development around your mum that shaped you, or was it all those things? What do you reckon it is?
I definitely think that it's a combination, except for probably the genetic piece. I think that, that we are, a lot of us are products of our environment. And I think that the biggest thing for me, was definitely watching my mother work so hard and forge that kind of like what I call single parent mother work ethic in me. And obviously, being dirt poor growing up, and dirt poor in the sense of like my mother working so hard to basically make those sacrifices to put us in a Steiner school, right? Instead of putting us in a public school, putting us in a Steiner school.
Because the state school there's pretty good.
Yeah.
The Byron school down there's pretty good.
Yeah, like so basically I think it was that, and seeing seeing those sacrifices and seeing that work ethic and, and basically I think the thing that probably pushed me into it is that from an early age, I realized, like, seeing my mother struggle, that I wanted to do something to help contribute.
How many of you are there?
There's I've got another sister.
I've got a younger or older? Older sister, right. And where did you live up that way?
So we started off, we lived in Mullumbimby.
Yeah, which would have been out there in those days. Mullum's then, 30 years ago, there's not Mullum today. It was considered a little bit remote, especially from Byron.
Yeah.
And it was a bit, it's not it wasn't then the most desirable place to live.
Yeah, definitely.
Murwillumbah would have been a lot worse, but Mullum was sort of out there.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I started off there, and then I actually went to Byron Bay Steiner School near McGigan Lane.
Yep.
And then in high school, I actually switched Steiner schools and went to Mullum Steiner School.
I was one of Mullum, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
And moved to Byron Bay. So that was kind of like the dynamic. And I guess when, I was 8 years old, I got my first job at a health food store, grinding up peanut butter for $2.50 an hour. Did that for a while, would give all that money to my mother. And then realized that I could only earn so much money in a week doing that. And that was when I started busking at markets on the weekends to kind of go out there and get more money to kind of give to my mother.
That's interesting because the environment in Byron, that whole region actually lends itself to that. Like Sydney's a lot harder to put a kid through that environment. It's just not right in front of you.
Yeah.
Whereas people on weekends, if they've got nothing to do, if they're not a surfer or something, they're going to go to the markets. Yep. There's always a market in Bangalow, Byron, Mullum, somewhere, or in the one of the areas, and the same people go from market to market to market. I mean, I'm talking about the marketeers or the people with the tents or the kiosks or whatever you call them. They tend to just move around. That's their business.
Yep.
And there's a lot of home industries, like, as you say, making peanut butter. I mean, did you work for, who'd you work for?
Santos.
Santos down there were they an industrial estate in those days?
This was actually their store in Mullum, not in Byron.
Right.
I was 7 or 8 at the time.
And how'd you get that job?
I don't remember, to be honest. I probably just walked in there and said, "Do you have any jobs going?"
Would you have done that yourself off your own bat, or was that something your mum may have said, "Listen, you should go and get yourself a weekend job"?
That was 100% off my own bat. My mother would never ask me to go and do that. That was just the kind of woman that she was. And before I got that job, I used to wake up before school and go help her set up in a cafe that she was working in. And then that was what kind of probably led me to looking at that weekend job. And then that led me into kind of busking and making, $100 in a day rather than...
Busking doing...
Playing a harmonica at first. I had a whole bunch of acts.
You had a harp, did you? Yeah.
No, not a harp, a harmonica.
Yeah.
And then I was doing like the Diablo and juggling and all kinds of stuff. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I'd put a baseball cap out there and start playing a harmonica and people would start throwing money at me. So I was like, okay, this is a good gig. How about I just continue to keep doing this?
Yeah, so do you think that, though, is... I mean, you watch your mum work hard, but that's sort of been quite creative. I mean, is that from the school, or do you think that's just something in your makeup?
I think it's probably something in my makeup and something in just identifying, I guess, opportunities. But I wouldn't say that it's just one single thing. I think it's a combination of all three of those things that probably, made me the person that I am.
But why is Sabri at a young age... Was your sister like that?
No.
Okay, so why were you the one who did that? Why did you do it, not your sister do it? What was it that was different between the two of you?
Look, I think my sister definitely had like jobs from a young age, but probably wasn't, to that fact where like she would be comfortable busking or going out and doing these kind of different things. It was just something that, me, I guess, maybe having that business mind earlier on is looking at, it's like, okay, I'm working for $2.50 an hour. Like, there's literally only so much money that I can ever make that's ever going to have an impact to my mother, right? So what are some other opportunities that I can do as an 8-year-old that is actually going to put me in a position where I can earn more money that's actually going to have impact, that's actually going to help pay for the groceries or the electricity bill or a parking ticket or whatever that would come about.
Were you conscious of mum work, at that age, were you actually conscious that mum needed to be helped?
I was.
There was no one else there helping her?
Correct.
Yeah. Is it because you saw it, or she told you, or she said, we can't have this, Sabri, because, I don't have enough money? Or Was it a conversation or was it just an observation?
It was definitely an observation, yeah. Looking around, seeing situations, whether it's like you get stopped by the police officer and you get a parking ticket, and then, seeing like your mother cry as a result of that because, times are tough and that's another cost or another surprise.
That's a month's worth of spare money.
Correct, right? So like just seeing those things, it was definitely observational. It wasn't ever a conversation.
No, not a conversation, but I mean, clearly it's a conversation today in what you do.
Yep.
I mean, maybe not particularly articulated, but it's certainly in something in your makeup today.
Yep.
Do you think that Steiner School, ever sponsored that conversation? So was your social environment such that, because I'm trying to work out why Sabri Suby is doing what he does, what drives him, what pushes him. Do you think the Steiner School sponsored that type of thinking too? Did they actually sponsor responsibility or like an ethic, or like were there other kids similar to you with a single parents? Was that an environment where they sponsor that and they made you think about that? Because I mean, like when I was fucking 8, like I had parents living together, mum and dad were married and hanging out. But at 8, I never thought about anything. I just went out the park down behind me and kicked the football around the park. Went to school. That's about it. I can't remember thinking this way.
Yep.
Maybe I was just slow mature. I don't know, but circumstances make you think this way, I guess.
Yeah, and look, like to your question, like were other children like that? Like Byron Bay is an alternative place, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that like all my friends growing up, like we all had like Australian mothers and ethnic fathers, and they were all single parent mothers.
Oh, really?
Do you know what I mean? So
is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So that was definitely something that like not seeing any of my friends with like both a mother and a father definitely probably played into it as well.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and seeing like all these single parent mothers like work hard to provide their children with a good upbringing, definitely forged it.
Because it's interesting, you should say so, because today, husband and wife, wealthy, he's an investment banker and she's whatever, professional. They actually moved to Byron to send the kids to the Steiner School as a family, whereas your mum went up there because that was an affordable place. These days they go up there because, well, we'll go and buy a really expensive house up there and I can run my business from up there because, I'm whatever. I can do it online and she can run her professional whatever up there, and they're the kids who go to Steiner schools today. Then it was more like lots of single parents go there who want better thing for their kid, can't afford what Sydney has or Melbourne has to offer, or Brisbane or Gold Coast, whatever, and they go there, and there's probably a common theme of people, parents who are like your mum, and that it's amazing how that parental input is so important in what forges you to become the person you are. And because we all are a product of our environment, I think. I mean, our talent pool lies in our genetics, but what we bring out of our talent pool is what we experience as kids. And I think maybe Mr. Steiner was right, Rudolf Steiner was right. First 7 years is quite a formative period in your life.
Yep.
That probably formed a lot of your ethics. Because like at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, you started trying to bring some a quid into the house to help out your mum.
Yep.
From what you saw. Do you reckon that's sort of where what laid your foundations today? Because there are people out there today who run businesses who don't have a foundation.
Yep.
And they wonder why they fucking fail. Or they wonder why they got no idea. For me, I think they got to look at their foundation. If you don't have a foundation, that's fine, but you've got to establish one. Then you've got to find a benchmark to establish it. You've got to find something that resonates with you and allows you to establish a benchmark. You haven't got much time to do it. You've got to take a period of time to actually sit down and say, what do I stand for? What's important to me? And I mean, when you're a kid growing up, that's all provided to you. You didn't even realize it. I mean, it's just put in front of you. I mean, you could have turned out to be a rat bag.
Yep.
You didn't. What's the difference between that and you and others who didn't turn out that way?
Well, first of all, like I didn't like do any drugs or anything like that growing up.
Why?
I don't know, to be honest. Like I've never really looked at kind of why, but like definitely my social circle and all the friends, like, that I was hanging out with, like a lot of people were doing all of those things.
Everyone up there smoke weed. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you're in the surfing community.
Exactly. And more so even than the weed was like all the other drugs, right, that come about. That was something that just never interested me. I just never, ever wanted to even try it. And I wouldn't say it's because I was like on the straight and narrow. It was just something that I didn't have any desire around. The thing, coming back to building that foundation, and I guess, why do I do what I do? I think that coming from the upbringing that I did, the reason that I do what I do is I believe that like businesses and business as a vehicle is probably one of the most profound ways to drive change, right? If you can help somebody geometrically grow their business and really help them, that impacts not just their immediate family, but also their social network of people that look to other businesses as to what is possible. And, if you want to be in a situation where you can give back to people and you can contribute in the world, you're going to need resources to do that, right? And I believe that there's no better vehicle in the world to build wealth than to own your own business. So, that's the thing that gets me fired up every day, is seeing all these businesses that we're working with in my business and seeing how we're really changing people's lives. It's not so much in working with the huge billion-dollar companies that gets me excited because you help. It's some digital marketing manager. They can take all the credit and then they leave in a year or two, right? Or you help them drive an extra $100 or $200 million. But it's the small to medium-sized businesses that you can step into. They might be turning over $400,000 to $500,000, barely making the payroll. And you come in with these strategies and help them blow up their business to the point where they're doing $2, $3, $4, $5 million, and seeing the impact that has on people's lives, and what other opportunities that provides for that family, for that social network, and how they can give back through any charitable causes that they want.
So is this Sabri Suby doing for the single parent business what he did for his mum when he was 9 years of age?
Certainly that's the thing that gets me excited. That's the thing that I think about. I don't really care that it's like digital marketing or it's Facebook ads or it's Google ads or whatever it might be. That's just the delivery vehicle for me. The business, the big problem that our business is focused and centered around is solving the biggest problem that businesses face, which is how do I get more customers?
So, okay, in your mum's case, how she put more money on the table and to survive the week?
Yep.
I mean, do you think this is just another expression of what you did when you were 11 or 10 or 9 years of age? You saw mum needed some help and your vehicle was the harmonica or the local market or wherever it was, and you learned that if I put the effort in, I can actually help mum out. I mean, to me, it looks like you're doing exactly the same thing now for business, small businesses or smaller businesses.
Yep.
Who are like single parents. They struggle. It's, and a lot of times they just got to make ends meet, and they don't have all the opportunities. And a lot of times that they are like single parents, that they don't have the big shareholder base. They don't have a whole lot of people supporting them. They don't have another party providing a whole lot of income and security, and like the billion-dollar businesses you're talking about, in a relative sense, these small businesses, I think they're the same. I have that feeling. They are like single-parent families, businesses. They are like a single parent. They need help. Are you like the perennial helper? That's your go. I mean, you like to help. Do you think that's part of your makeup?
Look, I definitely don't want to say that there's nothing like self-serving in it, but the reason, it's beyond money for me. It's not like, how can I just get ahead and how can I make money?
It has to be beyond money to be successful.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to establish here for our listeners. And maybe you've never thought about it before, but maybe you have and you just don't want to discuss it. But my gut feeling, when I just met you, but my gut feeling is Sabri is still the little boy who wants to help others out who aren't as lucky as some others. Not him, not relative to him, but just some others. You're just saying here's a universe of people who don't have the same opportunities as everybody else in the other universe, and I can fucking help them.
Yep.
Is that what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly how I do feel in terms of I want to make an impact and I want to give back and I want to send the elevator back down to people to basically help them go through the footsteps that I have and see the growth in my business that I have. And it's something that I get, like a lot from is seeing people that are struggling and then helping them dramatically change their business, where I know I can do it in one or two tweaks and they can be in a completely different position in 12 to 24 months.
And it's interesting. I have a view. I'm going to go to the break in a second, but I have a view, and I just want to leave everyone thinking about this. My business is about helping people too. But I'll be honest. I am honest. It's a selfish thing that I do because I actually get quite a great deal of satisfaction out of doing it. So I'm actually satisfying myself. It happens to be a good outcome for everybody, so therefore everybody benefits from it. But I'm selfish in that I'm doing it because I want to self-satisfy. I want myself to feel better about myself as a result of having helped somebody. And for me, it's having grown up in a Catholic environment where you have to. My mother's Irish Catholic. Like you have to sacrifice things for yourself in order to help others. And I've gone beyond feeling guilty. I'm now, understand where I'm at. But there's nothing wrong with feeling that way and getting your jollies out of helping people. I mean, I think it's good. Alan Jones does it. I mean, I don't need to do it. He doesn't need to do it. But I do it because I actually get a great deal of satisfaction out of it. It's beyond money. I actually want to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. And I enjoy doing the right thing by other people and seeing them improve. Would you make an admission to that? I mean,
100%. That's the only way that you can really stay motivated and stay after it, right? Because as soon as you get some kind of any success or any of the trappings of success and you earn some money, like that gets old very quickly. So you do need to have that other thing, that why that drives you to do what you do every day. Otherwise, you're just going to take your foot off the gas and
you get bored.
Exactly.
Have you ever been challenged? I should go to the break because we're going to talk to our sponsors. I don't want to come back. I want to ask you, have you ever been challenged? I don't want to talk about the business itself. So I go to the break, but I actually want to ask you, have you ever been challenged? Have you ever got to a point where you feel flat and low and you think, oh, fuck, this isn't killing me. I'm not getting motivated anymore. Because that happens to everybody. It happens to me too. What I really want to know, what I want to know is our audience always feels this. It's all very well for everybody to come in all highly motivated and, we're all mad sort of business guys and we're having a wonderful time. We're doing great things for everybody. But do you go through processes whereby you think, oh, fuck, I'm bored or I'm flat or why am I doing this? What happens? Do you go through those processes?
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And if someone says that they don't, they're lying to you.
And how do you deal with it?
Yeah. So there's two ways that I deal with it. Like one thing that I try to do every single day to keep me on purpose and really keep me sold on what it is that I'm doing. Because, people don't really realize that you have to sell yourself every single day as to why you're doing what you're doing. That's like the very first thing.
Sell it to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've got I write down my goals twice a day. I have a look at where is it that I'm trying to go, right? And whether I feel like it or I don't feel like it, it's something that I've got to do. And then I have like a vision board that's laminated, that's in my shower that I look at every single day that shows me exactly where it is that I'm trying to go and what I'm trying to do.
What's a vision board?
A vision board is like basically all the things that the life that you're trying to create. Do you know what I mean? What is it that you're trying to create? Where are you trying to go? What is that better version of yourself, and how do you really realize that potential?
In other words, you're not talking about, I'm saying this to the audience, but you're not talking about a plaque with a photograph of a Lamborghini on there and a penthouse apartment in the top of, somewhere fancy. What are we talking about?
There is a bit of that. There is a bit of that, yeah. So I have got two. I've got like all of the things that like have added up to the journey of Sabri Suby and where he is now. And then there's all the things that I want to do. Some of the material possessions, others aren't. But it's basically everything that you're striving for and that you're trying to get to.
Can you share a couple things for us?
Yeah, like there's obviously photos of like my family on there, and there's things that I want to do, like, building a business foundation and like being able to train up other entrepreneurs at mass scale and other things like that. And then there is obviously houses and things that material possessions that I certainly want to achieve and want to go and possess. And then there's just the whole impact part as well. So most people stop at that. Like writing your goals down and having a clear vision of a better future is nothing new. But then some of the stuff that I do when I'm feeling low or when I'm lacking is I start to look at those vision boards and my goals, and I start to think of what are the consequences if I don't achieve those, right? What is the pain that that's going to create? Like, what is the kind of person that you're going to become if you don't realize your potential, Sabri? And really, I believe it's like where, that axis of motivation and what it is that you want, and then the pain caused by you not achieving those, where those cross it's that center point that really sets your soul on fire and will really shake you up out of any kind of funk that you're going through, is when you start to think of the consequences of you not going out and doing those things.
That's pretty cool. So, and you look at this each day, like this what is it? It's a waterproof board or something.
Yeah, it's laminated. I have to look at it. It's forced. It's forced to get me on purpose every morning before I start my day. And then I've got my goals actually recorded on my phone, and I jump into my car and the Bluetooth just syncs and it automatically starts playing, right? It's like an indoctrination of where it is that I'm trying to go and what I'm trying to do. So when I get up in the morning, I see that, I jump in my car, I'm heading to the gym, my goals start playing to me. And it's like, regardless of if I woke up feeling a little bit low that day, it's this ritual that I go through that gets me into a state where I am on purpose.
It's interesting, like if you're practicing meditation forms, often they ask you to visualize and then chant 3 times your goal. Not so much your goal, what it is that you are doing. In other words, I'm going to do this, and I am doing this. This is the thing that right now in my life that I want to be, or I want resolved, and I am resolving it, and say it 3 times. And that often happens in the build up to meditations. And what you're sort of doing is you're programmatically managing your own brain, your own neurological system to build those outcomes into your brain automatically. It's just an automatic thing. It's quite an interesting process. I think scientifically it probably makes sense to me. And I'm not that I'm a scientist, but I'm just saying the science of it makes sense to me. And you're programming yourself every single day. You don't have a choice in it. You're just getting programmed.
You've got to, because there's so much negativity. There's so much inputs from the news, from the media cycles, from social media that just try to bombard your brain with negativity and with shit, right? So if you're not feeding your brain the positive stuff, and if you're not like actively putting it in the forefront of your mind where to focus on, then you start focusing on the wrong things, and then you end up in the wrong place.
Or you just talk, there's just too much chatter in your head. It's pretty simple.
Correct.
Here it is, bang, this is what you're doing. This is the game. This is the game we're in. This is why we're doing it. It's in front of me visually. I hear it. That's my start.
Yep.
And that's how I start every day. Some people do it with the gym, etc., but then you can add gym to it. But that's a pretty simple thing. It only takes seconds.
It does.
Literally, like, minute or 2 minutes of listening and looking.
Yep.
That's assuming you have a shower every day.
Yep.
I'm only joking. But that's very clever. So, okay, I want to talk about your business. We're talking about you, and let's talk about your business. Tell me about your business. What is your business's purpose, and what does your business do?
Yep. So we're in the business of growing businesses, and we help our clients get more clients. And the way that we do that is by helping them increase their traffic, leads, and their sales.
Okay, so how do you do that? So the business name is?
King Kong.
King Kong. I love it. I watched a guy who's called King Kong box last weekend, unfortunately. He's a great boxer. He's a Cuban guy. He's heavyweight. He looked like King Kong, but King Kong sort of conjures up all sorts of images for me, good images, sort of powerful images. Is that the reason you call it King Kong?
Yeah, and something different. No one in our space had a brand. Everyone's called like the internet marketing experts or top search engine rankings or something spurious like that, right? We've been, you don't forget that your digital marketing agency is called King Kong. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. It's a good name. It kicks. So King Kong. Who are your clients? Tell me who your clients are.
Yeah, so we basically specialize in helping, service-based businesses.
For example, what's that mean?
Yeah, so like lawyers, doctors, dentists, property developers.
Plumbers.
Yeah, They'd definitely be in there as well. Basically, anyone that has the average lifetime of a client that's greater than $3,000. That's typically our sweet spot. They should have like a sales team and be really ready to kind of scale up their business. And we do it through a bunch of different channels. We don't care if it's Google or it's Facebook or it's Instagram ads. We're channel agnostic, which basically means that we just go to wherever the lowest lying fruit is for that client to help them grow their business.
So just let's say, for example, I'm a dentist.
Yep.
Hard thing to market, dentistry. Highest outside of psychiatry, highest suicide rate in the world. Tough gig, no one wants to go to a dentist. Nobody wants to go to a dentist, and particularly kids. How do you help them? What's a typical situation?
Yep. First of all, we look at where are the customers, right? Where are the people that need your service?
You're talking about new clients or current clients?
New clients, right? And so something like that is like if someone's looking for a dentist, they're going to Google, right? They're going to Google, they're typing dentist in the suburb that it is that they live in. And that's the first port of call. You need to make sure that you are where your customers are looking for you. Otherwise, you're invisible to them. So we look at obviously running some Google ads. We look at getting them ranked organically and also on the Google Maps, so they've got a heavy presence there. And that's finite, right? Depending on how many patients that they're looking to put on the books, there's only so many people that are searching for a dentist each and every month. So once you've tapped out that channel, then we look at, okay, what's the next lever that we can do to apply to help you get more growth? It might be, okay, you've got a book of 3,000 patients, but most of these people aren't coming in every 12 months and getting a clean and getting a checkup. So how about we run Facebook ads specifically to those people and entice them with an offer to get them to come back in?
Yeah.
Or what are some other services that you make a lot of profit off? It might be teeth whitening. That's a mass market service that everybody wants. Everybody wants to have a Hollywood smile. How about we run Facebook ads to everybody? We knowing that that is an offer that would appeal to everybody and start pushing a message, a stimulus in front of these people to get them to act and then come back into your clinic.
And do you manage the data for them as well, or do you show them how to manage the data as opposed to just doing the top of the funnel? Like, do you make sure that the data identifies who we're talking to, and that somehow you can actually, someone might be interested. For example, I could be a dentist, and some people might be interested in teeth whitening, some people might be interested in braces, some people might be interested in teeth straightening. So, let's say there's 6 different types of sets of people who are interested in me. Do you then help them build up programmatically ads that go out to each one of those individuals and start to follow them around?
Correct. So one of our obviously big points of difference is that we're completely ROI driven. We don't talk about any of the soft, intangible metrics like impressions and clicks and all that crap. We're how much money did we spend and how much money did we get out, right?
What's the ROI?
Yeah. What's the cost per lead? What's it costing us to acquire a customer? What are we going to earn in profit off that customer over their lifetime? And really break down the unit economics of it and really apply this kind of venture capitalist thinking to looking at the hard unit economics of building a business. And we're looking at each sector. We're looking at what the close rate is of these leads compared to these leads, and where do you get the highest return on your investment? You might get a cheaper lead for these guys, but are they contributing as much profit to the business?
Well, they might not even convert.
Correct.
You might get 100 leads, but 1 converts.
Yeah, so we're looking all the way from the first click all the way to closing the loop on that sale to have a look at which is the channel that's the most profitable.
So you're applying science, which, one of the things I really fucking can't stand about social media or using social mediums to market your business, digital marketing, is that people just think it's all about the noise. I got 3,000 followers and 10 likes, but who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Okay, it might be okay. In the old days, it was okay when you weren't trying to commercialize it. It was really actually about social, about my holiday or something. That's cool.
Yeah, you can't take likes to the bank.
That's correct. So, but what I think is really important is that, and there's not a lot of the agencies do what you do. There are lots of digital agencies out there, but they're actually old advertising agencies that call themselves digital agencies now because it's very hard to make advertising pay anymore. So, and they just make noise, and they're good at making noise. Take photos, good at taking photos. Everyone looks pretty, all good, but there's no, as you say, ROI, rate of return on the investment. There's no return on the investment. I'm spending $10 and I'm getting $13, and means I got $3 profit so I'm okay. And how do I get that from 10 to 7 to 6 to 5? How do I start to reduce my cost so I can increase my margin or at least increase my profit over time? So and I noticed something interesting in the brief, that you don't charge your clients until, or you got some arrangement.
We've got performance guarantees, so we've got skin in the game.
Explain how it works.
We're willing to stick our neck out and guarantee results, and if we don't, we don't get paid, essentially.
Explain that. Yep.
So it's different on different service offerings. So on if we're doing SEO and trying to get people ranked, we guarantee.
Just explain what SEO is.
Yeah, search engine optimization. It's those free organic listings on Google that businesses appear and you're not paying per click to be there. So with those businesses, we actually guarantee to get them ranking. Otherwise, we simply don't get paid.
Ranking means?
On page 1 of Google for their big key money terms that drive most of the traffic.
So when I type in dentist, white teeth dentist, Double Bay.
Yep.
What your objective is, your task is to get that dentist up in the number 1 or 2.
Correct. Yeah.
So when I type it in whatever my search engine I'm using, let's say it's Google, that's the name that pops up.
Correct.
In either 1 or 2 at the top, because I'm not going to go right down through it and say, why don't I look at number 5? We're usually just going to hit number 1 or 2. That's the sort of the thinking around it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just one example, of obviously saying these are the 10 to 15 terms in your industry that are driving 90% of the commercial traffic for that keyword. Then it might be they might be running Google ads or Facebook, and will actually guarantee to reduce their cost per lead or their cost per lead to get a client in the door. Otherwise, we don't get paid, right? So we're certainly like to partner with people and take on some of the risk, because there's so many charlatans in this industry, and there's so many people talking about, look how many impressions you got, Mark. How fantastic is this, right? Yeah. Where none of that crap means anything, right? And it's just a means for agencies to hide behind these metrics, where for us, we're put in that difficult situation where the campaign doesn't work. We're stark naked in the cold with nowhere to hide. We're not going to be like, look how many people saw the ad. No. That doesn't mean anything to you. And I'm obviously a big believer that we are compensated by how difficult the problems are that we solve in our marketplace. And because we're not shying away of it, and we're saying, no, we're here to get you an ROI, it puts us in a position where we do get compensated as a result of that. And we're talking hardline metrics that really matter.
I like that as a model, because you're putting your balls online. I mean, I like that. That's tough. I mean, and you got to perform.
Yep.
How's the business going? How are you going? How many years you've been doing this, and how's it going?
Yeah, it's going really good. We've been going for 5 years. I started it from my bedroom with no more than $50 and an old computer that my girlfriend had bought me. And I started off making 100 to 150 cold calls a day, calling businesses up and trying to win them as clients. And I did that for the first year, had a whole bunch of clients, got an office, got a team. We're now at the point where we're turning over more than $15 million a year. I've got a team of 65 people, and we're just scaling out internationally right now.
And so that you're a national, you're across Australia now.
Correct.
I mean, I guess you can, because a lot of it's digitally based.
Yep.
And you've got how many clients would you have? Have you touched?
Hundreds and hundreds. We're getting tens of thousands of new customers a month.
Yeah. So, and I notice a book in front of me here. So, what is that?
Yep. Sell Like Crazy. I launched this at the start of the year.
What's that about?
Yeah, it's all about selling like crazy. It's about how to get as many clients, customers, and sales as you can possibly handle. So I realized that obviously a part of my mission, as we identified, is to help businesses, but not everyone can afford my agency, right? And there's a lot of businesses that were reaching out to me being like, hey, I can't afford you guys, but can you point me in a direction of somewhere that I can go to help me grow my business? And there isn't anywhere that I could point them to do it. So I put together this book, which is basically, it kind of encapsulates my 8-phase secret selling system of exactly what it is that you need to do regardless of what industry that you're in, and just go out there and just beat the pants off the competition.
And how much does that book sell for?
Look, right now it's basically selling at $19.95 on Amazon.
Is there an audio version?
There is.
Yeah.
Yep.
What a punish that is doing that. You did it for...
I did. It is absolute hell on earth.
How long did it take you?
It took me 4 days, and I was doing 9-hour shifts of it. But I've done a lot of media, I've done a lot of video content, but nothing was as more grueling as putting that freaking audio book together.
Reading what you've written is the hardest thing ever. And all of a sudden you say, fuck, did I write that? And you feel like changing, you're not allowed to do it because you've got to be totally faithful to the book.
Yep.
I did one at the beginning of this calendar year. Oh my God, it took me forever. I could only do it in 3 hours spurts because I started losing my voice after a period of time, and I started thinking, well, did I write that? And I get all muddled in my own thing, so it took me like nearly a month to do it. My book was slightly thicker than that, but it took me nearly a month to do it. But it was fun. I'm glad I did it. Is it on Audible?
No, because Amazon really rate me in terms of those fees. So we're selling it directly through our website, which is selllikecrazybook.com.
The website is called selllikecrazy.com.
Selllikecrazybook.com.
Right.
And you can actually get that for free right now if you just help us out with the shipping and handling. We'll get it out to you. But yeah, it's basically, everything that I have learned and applied, we've applied it in over 416 different industries and niches, and we've generated our clients over $1.33 billion worth of sales. And this is, as you can see, this is not like some little thin, crappy lead generation book. This is a tell-all. Like, this is not an upsell to my agency or anything like this. This is a standalone product that you can get, read, and apply, and every chapter has like a step-by-step thing that you need to do at the end of it to really help you go out and grow your business.
I think it's people listening. I mean, all right, the headline on this book is "Sell Like Crazy." You might think, oh yeah, right. But like the bottom line is, you as a business person, you must know how to get leads, build your brand, get leads that you can convert, and then the best way today to do is in the digital environment. There's a lot of science around all this sort of stuff. It's not just something that you can just whip up in a day and become an expert on. And there's a lot of trial and error in relation to it. And every industry is slightly different. So, I mean, I haven't read the book, but like anything that helps people work out how to use the digital environment, social media, which I hate that word, but anyway, social media, to get their people in their door and to build their brand out, I think is worth looking at. So if you're in that industry, what's particularly interesting here is you're talking about services, by the way.
Yep.
It's much easier in the product environment. You got something to physically show. Service is a hard thing to explain. And I picked on dentists on purpose because that's like a tough one.
Yep.
I mean, like dentists would probably take the view, shit, no, I can't market my business. How hard is it? But you're talking about tools here that allow dentists to actually start to market their business more. If they read this book,
yep,
they'll be more tooled up to be able to at least have the opportunity to start to sell their service.
And not even tooled up. Like, I actually give them a step-by-step framework, like a fill-in-the-blank formula of exactly how to identify who are your best customers, how to put bait out there that attracts only those best buyers, and then how to make them something I call a Godfather offer, which is an offer so good that they can't refuse, and use all the technology around that and emails and Facebook ads and Google ads just to go out there and just crush all their competitors.
Well, that's worth a read. Look, or worth a listen to. Or maybe what you do is you get it on the audio as an audio book, and every morning you can do what Sabri does is you just turn this thing on, listen to it for 15 minutes every day until you've got get through it, because you've got to put yourself into this position today. Like most businesses today, my experience, have got no fucking real idea about digital marketing.
They don't.
They haven't got a clue, especially around the science. Sabri, running short of time, I'd love to talk to you for longer, but I always give everyone an opportunity to ask me one question. I don't know if you've got one. It sounds like you've got everything nailed, but have you got a question for me?
I do.
Go for it.
I hadn't thought of it, but you've put me on the spot. And I guess the biggest thing, I've obviously looked into your background, and the thing that impresses me about you is like you've done it multiple times, right? Like, so whatever you're doing isn't your first rodeo. What is it that you learned, from Wizard that you've applied to YBR?
I always have a partner for a start. In terms of my businesses, always have a partner who can provide me either capital in some format, either in like physical capital, dollars, or intellectual capital, or production capability, or all three if that's possible. So I don't like to operate in my own in my environments. Generally speaking, I'm taking on the banks or taking on someone big. So you need bench strength. So I had Kerry in as my partner before when I did the Yellow Brick Road business. I first off had Macquarie Bank as my partner and Channel 9. Channel 9 is still my partner. More recently, I brought in a new partner into the Yellow Brick Road business, which is the big hedge fund out of the States, which is going to give me the bench strength to actually produce my own product, mortgage product, so I can actually take on the banks.
Who's that? Which hedge fund?
A hedge fund called Magnetar.
Okay.
They're the ones behind, if you remember the Big Short.
Yep.
Magnetar are like a pretty famous hedge fund. They have massive balance sheets, New York based, London based as well. But they understand debt markets, which is my market, as an asset. So when I lend you money, that's my asset. Prior to that, it's I've got money that I haven't lent. That's a liability. It's a problem. So they're a big partner. They have big balance sheets. They're gonna help me get back into the manufactured mortgage product of my own, as opposed to me being a reseller of somebody else's product. And that's where I make my money. I always made my money selling my own product as opposed to reselling someone else's product. The reason I haven't done it in the past is because the capital market opportunity hasn't been there. So the markets don't allow me to do it. So what I've learned from those days is in my industries, I need big organizations with big balance sheets who want to make a difference, understand that I want to make a change, that I want to take on the big guys in the industry, that's the banks, and offer an alternative product and or service that goes with the product to the incumbents. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I did at Wizard. That's what I've been trying to do at Yellow Brick Road for nearly 10 years now.
Yep.
And it's taken me that amount of time to wait until the markets allow me to do it. I'm talking about the capital markets that allow me to do it.
And why did you cash out at Wizard at that time?
Complex, because Kerry was my partner, and Kerry Packer, that is, he didn't really like he saw a problem coming. He could see the GFC. He didn't call it the GFC. He could see a problem coming. In technical sense, when I explained to him the technicalities of how we built our business up in terms of all the layers of financial instruments that I had to put in place. Kerry didn't understand the stuff. I mean, that's my area of expertise, but Kerry understood one thing, is that sooner or later it's going to come undone, because he knew that other people out there were doing stupid things of lending 110%. So he thought there was going to be a problem. He didn't know when it was going to come, how it was going to come. He just said, it doesn't matter. He said to me one, he said, I'm a multi-billionaire. He said, I can't even afford for this to happen. So he said, we should try and find a buyer.
Okay.
That was in 2004. He was 4 years ahead of his time in that regard, and so I found a buyer. Yellow Brick Road, I learned from that. Yellow Brick Road's a totally different sort of business, and I'm all about de-risking my risk and my partner's risk. But Magnetar also went through the GFC. They're smart. They know how to de-risk the business. So I need someone. They're a global grunt. So, areas that I'm never exposed to, they're exposed to. They're a great partner. I'm really happy. It's taken me a year to get them on board. I had to get through the Royal Commission. I had to get through all the regulatory changes. They had to get Foreign Investment Review Board approval because they're a foreign fund. It's all just happened. Literally, I only got Foreign Investment Review Board approval last week. And
done.
They've now become a partner of mine, and they've invested quite a lot of money into my business. And it's only go forward now. But like everybody else, I got a product. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good my product is, I've got to tell everyone about it. So the whole digital environment you're talking about, the science around it, that's stuff that we are working on right now. Because I can make fucking noise, but I've got to turn that noise, I've got to convert it into someone who wants my product.
Well, let's have a chat.
Good man. Never miss an opportunity. Good to meet you, Sabri.
You too.
This has been The Mentor with Mark Bouris. You can follow Mark on LinkedIn. The Mentor is recorded in the studios of Podcast One Australia. Producer is Liv Proud. Audio by Darcy Thompson. For more episodes, head to podcastoneaustralia.com.au or search The Mentor on Apple Podcasts.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you click the like button and subscribe. We're dropping a video on YouTube every other day. And if you've got any questions about any of the content that I covered in this video, just basically leave a comment with hashtag heysabri in the comment section. And every week we're also trying to go through all those questions and get them answered. So go ahead, click subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.